starter Pokemon are going extinct. And whether or not they exist for much longer will be your fault. Hey Pokemon trainers, welcome back to the lab. I'm Professor Cody, and today I want to look at a Pokemon theory behind the rarity of starter Pokemon. We're going to go over their near extinction status, how it relates to the existence of the Pokedex and how Pokemon professors are involved, and how Pokemon trainers are a vital part to keeping them alive. The history of the starter Pokemon is actually quite vague, and most simply accept that starter Pokemon are given out by Pokemon professors. Now in the anime, starter Pokemon are occasionally found in the wild, but it is an incredibly rare occurrence and usually they're the Pokemon abandoned by the original trainers. Some exceptions to this would be Bulbasaur, which Ash has encountered on a couple of occasions, migrating to a space to evolve en masse. We also see in games like Pokemon Ranger that while the starters are rare, they are possible to find. But in the main series games, in those regions, they're never obtainable in the wild. This is excluding Pokemon Yellow, as that follows Ash's story and those starters were abandoned by their original trainers and not truly wild Pokemon. In general though, not even the Pokedex knows where to find them, supposedly. In the games, if you try and find the area for where a starter Pokemon comes from, you'll be presented with the message, Area Unknown. So, public records of these Pokemon don't disclose where they originate. We also know that a starter Pokemon isn't a requirement for living in the Pokemon world. People often obtain their first Pokemon via family members or just catching the closest thing to their house, so many people would never come to the professors for a starter Pokemon and might not even be aware that you can obtain them from there in the first place. A good example of this would be Wally in Ruby and Sapphire, where we get to watch him catch his first Pokemon, a Ralts. Pokemon Legends Arceus also provides an insight into this as well. As you go on your travels, you discover the Turtwig, Chimchar and Piplup lines living happily in the ancient world. But in modern Sinnoh, this is no longer the case, and they're only available from Professor Rowan. So between the events of Legends Arceus and Diamond and Pearl, something, possibly the colonizing and industrializing of the region, has stopped the Turtwig, Chimchar and Piplup lines from being able to exist in the wild. One possibility could be the gender ratio. Pretty much all starter Pokemon have a 7-to-1 male to female ratio. This means that from each egg, 7 out of 8 of them are going to be males, and this rapidly slows down a species' ability to repopulate. Now, real-world animal species with this ratio can survive just fine, but as soon as you begin adding in outside influences like environmental destruction or other things that hinder a species from being able to breed well, these numbers are going to rapidly dwindle. The starter Pokemon may be highly susceptible to the effects of humans moving into the region and wiping out areas of their environment to construct towns. They may also have been particularly susceptible to foreign viruses that humans brought in from overseas. Another possibility could be their primary abilities. All starters share the same 3 abilities, Overgrow, Blaze, and Torrent. These give a boost to their attack and special attack for moves of their type when their health is low. While this seems like a perfectly fine ability, these common factors could be hiding a weakness that is causing them to go towards extinction. Perhaps these abilities are no longer well suited to the changes that have been happening in the modern world, and maybe they're abilities that just harken back to a simpler era for wild Pokemon, and their abilities haven't evolved to cope with the changes around them. Pokemon professors are heading up research and conservation efforts to keep different Pokemon from the brink of extinction. In the anime episode A Mudkip Mission, we find out that each region has highly secret breeding facilities for starter Pokemon. There's a Pokemon breeder there that cares and raises for Pokemon to an appropriate level, and then they go to the professor's laboratory to be given out as starter Pokemon. Due to the rarity of these Pokemon, the public is unaware that these breeding facilities even exist to ensure that the Pokemon aren't stolen and sold on the black market. Another aspect we see in the anime is that Ash's Pokemon, when put into the PC, are transferred to Professor Oak's laboratory. But instead of keeping them in their Pokeballs on the shelves, they roam around outside in open area enclosures. Not everyone's Pokemon go back to a research facility like this. Only those who have a direct connection to a professor's laboratory. This makes the professor's research much easier, as trainers can catch Pokemon and send them back to the lab where they get to roam around freely for the professors to observe, research, and in particular, refine breeding plans for the rarer Pokemon. We know the Pokedex appears to be given to trainers in a blank state, but all the data is in there waiting. As Pokemon are seen and captured, this information is unlocked for the trainer. It uses a simple system to reward the trainer with information whenever they capture a new Pokemon, making trainers want to complete the Pokedex. However, what the Pokedex is secretly doing is tracking all Pokemon encounters, recording the data, and sending it back to the research facility. It tracks information like what sort of Pokemon you encountered, how many, and where. This information is invaluable to the research facilities. It allows them to track different Pokemon species across areas, determine population drops and rises, and if Pokemon are moving to areas where they previously didn't live. All of this data helps them to track different species and to know whether more species need to be added to the endangered species breeding program. But why do they give these endangered species to Pokemon trainers? Well, these endangered species need to get stronger, and the professors need as much research and data on them as possible. By giving them to a variety of trainers who will raise them and bring out their strengths, it helps the researchers to understand better how to bring them away from the edge of extinction. So by increasing their workforce with trainers, this provides the researchers with a wealth of data that they couldn't get in the same volume on their own. However, most people just don't want the occupation of a Pokemon trainer. That's right. It's an occupation, a full-time job. But more about that in another video. What are your theories on why starter Pokemon are so rare? Let me know in the comments, and check out my new series on discovering the ultimate starter, and keep an eye out for an upcoming theory on the propaganda machine we call the Pokedex. Until next time, have an amazing Pokemon journey.